This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. Competed in nearly 700 PGA Tour events, 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame and the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Welcome into Golf with Jay Delsing, and with Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. We have got some great guests coming up. We are going to visit with a PGA Master Professional. That is Kevin Kirk, and he is the 2019 PGA Teacher of the Year, Golf Magazine Top 100 Teacher in America. He has taught some of the biggest names in golf. Also, Matt Minder from the Amatuer Players Tour has some news coming up, and he'll preview what's happening later tonight on Facebook Live. So if you're an APT member, you want to make sure and stay tuned for that. He'll be coming up after the commercial break. But first and foremost, great to see you, Jay, and let's go.
Danny, let's go. Good morning. Wow, that was one hell of an intro. Let's just jump right into it.
All right, Gary Woodland last week, as we always go through with some of the news and notes, he was very emotional at the Sony Open. Kind of finished in the middle of the pack, but that was an emotional time at the Sony Open just a week ago.
It sure was. You know, I sent him a text on his way over there saying, you know, it's another year starting. Hopefully you get some of this health stuff behind you. And it was just awesome to see him playing better, you know, and he's making the cut. He was approaching the top 10 after Saturday. And, you know, I don't think, you know, Danny, when you're younger and you haven't had some of these life things happen to you.
And he's dealt with cancer.
Right. And he's got, you know, there's all sorts of different things that we get older that happen. Death of parents, divorces, all sorts of those sort of things. But you never, as an athlete, you never really think of when you're young and you're in your prime, your early 30s. You never really think that physically something's going to whack me unless you've had the misfortune of having something to that point. But for the most part, golfers, you know, at that age have not had to deal with a lot of what he's had to deal with, and it's taxing.
So how do you, as a pro golfer, try to compartmentalize, you know, putting your private life away and some of the ups and downs that you mentioned, but yet still trying to stay sharp enough to compete with the best in the world? That's got to be very difficult to do.
It is, and I was awful at it as a really, really young man. The best I ever had seen ever in my life was Corey Pavin, hands down. This guy could come, as you said, he could decompartmentalize things and put this over there and that over there and not even go in, not even think about that box that had whatever in it. You know, he was great at it. So I definitely picked up that early on with him. But that is a skill that is not easy to learn. And for Gary, Danny, he's got this brain issue, and this tumor that was where it was located, it started making him almost paranoid about fear and fearful things, thought he was going to die, you know, because...
And you could understand why, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, there's something on your brain that's in that area that controls that kind of thinking, and it's messing it up.
Yeah.
And so it had to be terrifying. I mean, I can't even imagine.
I thought, and now we're going to switch gears, I thought one of the coolest things that I saw last weekend, and some pros do this, is that Tom Kim set up right at the tee marker to play a fade. So if you are an amateur, you'd hit that tee marker and it might come back and hit you.
At home. You know when they give you that disclaimer, these are highly trained professionals, and do not try that at home. Don't try that at home, folks, because if you get a little wayward on that downswing, you're going to blow that tee marker up. Yeah, so the idea is you're using this tee marker as a little bit of a swing guide where, okay, I'm going to stay inside of that and I'm going to rip this thing down the line. It's amazing when you're out. So Danny, I'll never forget this. I did this one time with a long divot that was on a par 3. Someone and I had to be from the day before in the Pro-Am, had taken a divot out, D, that looked like it was the start of a sod farm. It was like 2 inches long, but it happened to be right on the line that I wanted to get on. So I teed my ball up, and it was, like I said, on a par 3, and I was able to look down, and it just gave me a great visual for, I don't know, it was just one of those spur-of-the-moment sort of things. But when you're out there doing this, you're going to pick up anything you can to try to gain. That's why we're so nuts, man. You're going to pick up anything to try to gain a little bit advantage or a little confidence or a little guide, anything like that.
Jay, I was playing in a fun tournament last year. I'm behind a tree. I'm just trying to punch it out, get back in the fairway, and what do? I hit the tree, and the ball almost comes back and hits me.
Yeah,
You've seen that a million times.
Oh, my gosh, that's so embarrassing. My dad did that.
Oh, thanks a lot. It was embarrassing,
too. My dad had this shot. It was on the first hole in the East Golf Course at Norwood, and he's a left-hander, and he slices one over in the left rough. And my brother and I are playing with him, and he looks up, and I mean, it is jail. There isn't a window, and I'm pretty good at picking out windows. There's not a window.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking you just got to suck it up and punch it out. I'm like, Dad, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going right there. And I'm like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
And he takes this mighty rip and knocks this thing hard and low, and it just drills the tree and comes back down and hits him right in the forehead. My dad never wore hats. From his baseball career, he hated wearing hats playing golf, so he never wore a hat. And he's looking up, and this ball, it was like slow motion deal. Didn't come back hard, but it just hit him in the forehead and dropped straight to the ground at his feet. So now, if we're playing in a tournament, you just hit a shot that's come backwards, and it struck you, so that's going to cost you 3. And I just started laughing. My brother was already on the ground, and my dad looked over, and before he could see what was going on, he goes, "Don't you laugh at me," and we're like, oh, it's way too late for that, Dad. It's really
I love
great.
it.
Oh, my gosh, so much fun.
This weekend, wrapping up today, the American Express at La Quinta. I always ask you this. If you're watching, maybe you watched yesterday, but you're watching today in the final round, what stands out about that place? Well,
the golf courses in the desert, when you get this kind of weather, Danny, it's almost like playing inside. I mean, here's how Palm Springs either has absolutely ideal conditions or conditions that are so hard because the wind will blow 50 miles an hour. It's just insane. It doesn't just come up as a small little breeze. It's either all or nothing down there. And when it is calm, it's like the perfect temperature. It's 80 degrees. There's no humidity. The golf courses are perfect condition, and the guys just shoot the daylights out of that place. So I would guess it's, like anything on Sunday, look who's got the hot putter.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot of great ball hitters put it out there, but man, who's going to be able to take advantage of it? Because in order to win on the PGA Tour, man, you got to putt lights out.
I'm fascinated. There was some news this past week. Fox has finalized a broadcast deal with Live. So they're going to be on all the different channels of Fox. Last year was on the CW.
Yep,
I mean, this is a big deal.
It is a big deal, and I'm surprised that didn't get more Greg Norman hoopla, that didn't get a big, fireworks display or something. And there's not a lot of details, though, Danny, that on what they're going to do with that. They didn't talk a lot about the details of the deal.
So you mentioned Greg Norman. He is out as CEO of Live. Now, he still will consult, and I think, Jay, as much as some people dislike him, you may love him, whatever the case may be, you got to give him credit for launching this league, kind of being the face of it and this tour and getting them to the point of where they're at. This is still a major factor in the game of golf because he was able to take some of the biggest names in the game and put them and get them towards Live.
You got to.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it took a huge amount of balls. It took a lot of
gumption,
time, and gumption. but it did. I mean, and look, it's not popular. I mean, he's not, his image per se has not been like, his profile has not increased on a positive aspect, Danny. It has increased though a lot. People definitely will have an idea who Greg Norman is had they not, been a huge golf fan. That's for sure.
Well, he's out as the CEO, and I just wonder if you get a different face, different point of view in there, if that helps negotiations of somewhat opening the door. They're trying. We keep hearing they're trying to get with the PGA Tour, make sure you combine the players and get back the best players in the world playing on one tour, or however they want to divvy it up. But I do wonder if this opens the door for more conversation to make this thing happen.
I think it does. I mean, just between Tiger and Rory and Greg, the divide is so big, Danny, that, it makes the Grand Canyon look like a tiny little rut.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much bad blood and so much animosity and ego, especially with Tiger and Greg, and so I think it's probably a good thing that Greg is in the background. It'll be interesting, though, if there are those meetings. If there are those meetings, is Greg invited?
That's
Very
a good
interesting.
question.
I bet he isn't.
All right, we're going to tip our cap.
I love it.
Tip of the cap brought to you by
our friends at Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, 314-966-0303. Colin Burton, his team. I got to tell you, I got to give him a brief story and an attaboy like you can't believe. My daughter, Jo, trying to get she and her Volkswagen over to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where she goes to college and start her second semester. She gets on her way on her voyage. Her mom had bought her this car, and it poops out over in Effingham. Well, most of you are thinking, no, you know that I got a great relationship with our boy Pearlie. No problem, but Pearlie is in Arizona because he's not dumb and it's cold here. So Joe's car sat over there. So the Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood and Colin Burton, his staff, have just been rock stars. We got the car towed directly to them. They are taking care of it. They are putting it together to get Joe back on the road safely and over there, and that is just phenomenal.
All right, we're going to tip our cap to SSM, and we need to remind everybody the Golf Expo is coming up, and they will be running a $99 golf evaluation special for the event. And go to the SSM Health Physical Therapy booth. Tell them that you have the J special pricing. It includes the Titleist Performance Institute TPI screen, generate an individual workout plan for you to address mobility and stability issues, along with a K-Vest evaluation, which is 4-sensor 3D motion capture device, generates a 10-page report. Screen takes 10 minutes, and our buddy Brad Henderson will be doing that, so we're tipping our cap to SSM at the Golf Expo.
And that's awesome, folks, at the Golf Expo. And those things that Brad is offering, that K-Vest, they're all TPI. That's Titleist Performance Institute. That was the mothership of all physical fitness that started around golf way back when Tiger came out. So Greg Rose and those guys started that there. It's phenomenal. Check out SSM. Check out Brad Henderson. First of all, he's a great human being. Might tell you a baseball story or two.
Absolutely.
Or weave a little tale. He's a good storyteller over there. But our tip of the cap is brought to you by Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Thank you, Colin. Thank you for those guys for taking such great care of Joe. Reach them at 314-966-0303. Danny, that was a hell of a tip of the cap right there.
Big one for sure. Amatuer Players Tour has some news coming up. So you are involved with this, and especially the St. Louis chapter. There's some announcements coming up, some breaking news, if you will. So we're going to get with Matt Minder, who heads this up, and that's next on Golf with Jay Delsing as we come to you from the Car Shield Studios, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
This is Barrett Jackman of the Blues. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
You've heard me talking about the APT this year, but I want to help break down what this tour is all about. Firstly, it's the Amatuer Players Tour. I was lucky and privileged to have played golf on the PGA Tour, golf's highest level. So I know what it's like to have a real strong and fair competition. For amateur golf, this is absolutely the closest thing to PGA Tour style golf in terms of fairness of handicaps and the competition. Secondly, APT is the largest amateur tour in the country. In just over 6 years, Matt Minder and his team have over 7,000 members with over 44 local chapters spread across the country. The Amatuer Players Tour runs over 800 800 tournaments a year. 800! That number alone tells you that they are doing something right. They play some premium golf courses around the country like Paynes Valley, Kiowa Island Ocean Course, and Torrey Pines South, and many more. Go to AmateurPlayersTour.com and find out for yourself. That's AmateurPlayersTour.com.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Dan Politis, PGA golf professional, and you are listening to Golf with Jay Delsing and Danny Mack. I listen every week.
When you're in the market for a new car, there's only one place that I go, and that's Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Please call Colin Byrne over there. He's fantastic. His number is 314-966-0303. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood will treat you like your family. Not sure you want to buy a car? The Dean Team Volkswagen has the area's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles for lease or purchase. Colin found my Yukon that I'm driving today, and I love it. It's the best vehicle I've ever driven. My daughter Jo is on her 3rd Volkswagen. She just took her car to service to get an oil change, and she said to me, and I'm quoting, "Dad, these guys are so nice, and they took such great care of me. They made sure her car was in great shape to get her back to school." Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on this Sunday morning. And with Jay Delsing, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Great to have you with us. And it's also great as we do, well, an awful lot. We visit with Matt Minder, who heads up APT, the Amateur Players Tour. And Matt, great to be with you. Nice to hear your voice in this cold, cold weather. But golf is right around the corner, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, it's good to be with you guys. Thanks for having me on. And I'm really excited to get golf season started and get some of this winter weather behind us.
You're not, I know you're a golf nerd, but the two guys sitting in this recording studio right now are itching to get out and play, and there's way too much white stuff on the ground here, man. But let's just start teasing people here in the northern states. What's happening with APT? What are we going to do? We got lots of great stuff on the schedule for 2025.
Yeah, definitely. We just got back this last week. We did our Florida Swing in Orlando, so had 3 great events down there. And St. Louis tournament schedule is going to open tonight. We've got events going all across the country at some great venues, and 2025 is going to be our best year yet. And we couldn't be more excited to get this show on the road. There's some great venues in St. Louis.
Okay, so Matt, let's talk a little macro first. Talk about the tour. Talk about I've told people you're the largest amateur golf tour in the U.S. Tell us a little. On the Golf with Jay Delsing show, we get close to the facts. We're not always spot on, but tell us where we stand with the APT.
Yeah, well, we're certainly right there. We continue to grow year over year. We've got an amazing community of golfers across the country. We've got 46 chapters in the United States, 1 in Canada. We host over 800 amateur events for golfers of all skill levels. And we do a lot of work to promote Folds of Honor and raise money for Folds of Honor as well, for a charitable impact. And we just continue to grow. We play some of the greatest golf courses across the country, and then also play a lot of great tournaments locally. It's a great time. It's a great community of people. There's never been a better time to get involved with the APT.
So you have some news concerning on this Sunday morning, your schedule here locally. What do you got?
Yeah, so tonight we'll be live on our Facebook page at 7 p.m. Amatuer Players Tour St. Louis, I guess. So we'll have some great events opening tonight. 36-hole event at Norwood Hills West, which, Jay, I know you played in the Stiefel Charity Classic. Did I get the name right?
Yeah, very good, very good.
There we go. So you played in that, but, notably Ben Hogan won a PGA championship at the West Course in Norwood Hills. We have a 36-hole event there. New to the schedule this year, we're going down to Dalhousie, which is going to be a great event.
Wait a minute. What an addition. We got to talk Dalhousie. These two guys you're talking to right now, we have a love affair with Dalhousie. Billy Morrow and his staff down there, what Cord Dombrowski has presented to the golf community is special.
Absolutely it is. I mean, it's definitely worth the drive to Cape, for sure. To play one of the absolute best golf courses anywhere in the Midwest. Just such a special treat, very private golf club, but beautiful golf course. Has hosted a lot of really big events in recent years, and it's just a great spot. We're looking forward to being there.
So you mentioned Norwood, the West Course, which is the championship course. You got Dalhousie. What else are you telling us about on Facebook Live tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. We play a lot of the top public golf courses in the St. Louis area: Ann Briar, Gateway National, Spencer T. Olin, Birch Creek, just to name a few. Some great places. Then filtered in with some great private clubs. I'm really excited to get back to Persimmon Woods after they've redone their greens. I've heard that is coming along very, very well. Lake Forest Country Club is another great championship golf course. And probably the sleeper of our private club schedule, the St. Clair Country Club in Belleville, that's got so much history and is really a fun golf course to play. The schedule is just really, really good this year in St. Louis. It's going to test our members of all skill levels. It's going to be a great season.
Matt, we gotta throw some love to the public golf courses in the area, especially Ann Briar, Gateway National, like you said. I mean, these guys, man, they do. First of all, if you haven't gone out and played those tracks, you got to play them. They might say, they're open to the public, but they don't take a backseat to anybody. They're really, really well done. Good golf courses, good shape, great experiences.
I'm blessed doing this nationwide to travel the country to our 46 chapters, and I will tell you, it is always a blessing to come home to the public golf courses in St. Louis. They all are in fantastic shape. They're great people. The service is great. They always provide a great test for our players, and it's really a privilege to call St. Louis home and be part of this golf community. I couldn't be more excited about it, and our golf courses are fantastic. I mean, Far Oaks, we add that to the schedule. We've got to give a little shout out to Doyle Moffitt, but you can see our full schedule online, but a lot of great public golf courses, and each and every one of them are just great to work with and great people, and highly recommend.
Matt Minder is our guest from Amatuer Players Tour, proud sponsor and supporter of Golf with Jay Delsing. We want to ask you about the charitable component of what you do, and I think that's very important to get the word out and what you're doing for Folds of Honor.
We hooked up with Folds of Honor a couple years ago. And just as a charity partner, we have an option in our membership that includes a donation to Folds of Honor. We'll raise money for Folds of Honor at our different tournaments. I'm looking forward to seeing them next week down at the PGA show. But in the last 2 seasons, we've been just so privileged and blessed to be able to partner with our members to raise $180,000 for Folds of Honor.
Wow, that's insane.
So really excited about that.
That is insane. And Doyle Moffett is one of the true great golf warriors out there, along with Sean Barnes at Gateway, along with Kevin out at Annbriar. We got some real golf studs in this community of ours, man. And listen, folks, if you haven't checked these places out, go there. Here's the thing that I'm going to tell you about the APT that you may not know about. I was fortunate enough to be able to play on the PGA Tour for a while, but actually probably longer than most people wanted me to play on the PGA Tour. But having that competition and the way that the tour is run, this is the way the Amatuer Players Tour runs their events. It's top notch. It's real competition. Matt, you guys monitor people's handicaps like ninjas. And if you've got a phony handicap, it ain't going to fly on the APT, is it?
No, it's definitely not. We work really hard to find things before, and we have lots of systems and safeguards in place to check, because let's be honest, everybody's played the golf tournament that you show up and you get pencil whipped at the scramble, right? And that's just not what we're about. I mean, we're about building a community of golfers that want to support each other and get better. I relate it to the mini tour days, Jay, we've talked a bunch about, and that community aspect, and nothing kills the community aspect by people coming in and lying about their handicaps. So we take it very seriously. We make sure that we get our handicaps right, and what that creates is a great environment to be able to compete against players of your own skill level and really enjoy what the tour is designed to be about.
So, Matt, as we wrap it up, let's talk a little bit about Facebook Live. Where can people go for that? Where can people go to sign up for the tour?
Yeah, so the Facebook Live tonight is going to be on our Amatuer Players Tour St. Louis Facebook page. Jay will join us tonight. 7 o'clock, we'll be talking through the schedule and having some fun. But if you want to join the tour, it's $135 for the year, and you can go to aptgolf.org/join, and that's the easiest way to get to everything, aptgolf.org/join. Join the tour. It's got a ton of membership benefits, and you can play anywhere in the country you want to. We're going to have a great season. We'd love to see you out there.
And guys, remember, we've got major championships on this tour. We've got special events. We're going to have a Golf with Jay Delsing series that's in the works that Matt and I and Danny are still working on. But you got to check this out. If you love the game, there's nothing like tournament golf. I would love to hear some of your tournament golf experiences, because all of a sudden your brain goes absolutely haywire when you got to step up there and knock all those 2-footers in.
Yeah, we saw it a little bit this week down in January. A lot of people came down to travel and hadn't got the practice in, and so those 2 and 3 footers to win became very interesting this week. So it was fun to watch a little bit of that firsthand. But man, it's been great to get the golf season started. I'm ready for the snow to get off the ground here in St. Louis so we can start playing here. That's for sure.
All right, Matt, thanks for joining us. We always appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing what's on Facebook here tonight.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys, and we'll see you soon, Jay.
That is Matt Minder from the Amatuer Players Tour. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you tired of watching your golf scores go up every year? Despite new equipment and even a couple lessons, you still fight that slice or your inability to get that ball up and down out of the bunker? Well, get ready to experience better golf with Elevate Golf. At Elevate Golf, we're changing the way golfers practice with our innovative and data-driven approach to learning and, most importantly, improving. We have an array of membership options where you can find the perfect fit for your golf, your lifestyle, and your budget. Whether you start in our full-service gym, the short game area that has real sand bunker, or one of our 7 TrackMan simulator bays, the team at Elevate Golf will do a complete assessment of you and your game, which is crucial because if you don't know where you're starting from, it's nearly impossible to attain a goal or a new level. Call us today at 636-265-0557 or visit us at elevategolf.com. That's ELV8golf.com. Contact us today and get ready to play better golf. Hey folks, we just opened the Jay Delsing Golf Shop. If you need anything golf related, you need a hoodie, you need a visor, you need a quarter zip. My daughter Gemma has spearheaded this effort and I so appreciate all of her help. But we are live and we are ready to get you into some golf gear. Folks, know this, with every single purchase, I will be donating either to the Western Golf Association in support of the Evans Scholarship Program or to Folds of Honor and the great Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. So everything that you buy from me, we're going to make a donation to those great causes. Thanks for checking it out. It's jdelsinggolfshop.com.
This is Matt Minder with the Amatuer Players Tour, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Recently, my nephew called me and said his basement had flooded and all the hardwood, carpet, and flooring had to be replaced. I told him I have the perfect place for you to go. At Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture, this second-generation family-owned business treats everyone just like their family. Jared Capps is continuing his mom and dad's 50-year business tradition where honesty, transparency, and service carry the day. My nephew loved the luxury vinyl product. Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture has the largest selection in the area. Whether you prefer Mohawk and the wide variety of their product lines, I love the Rev Wood product, by the way, or Karastan or Pergo Elements line, Jerseyville Flooring and Furniture will literally have you covered. You have pets? Let Jared tell you about the many sustainable flooring and carpet options that are pet-friendly but also easily maintained to keep your floors looking great every day. And don't forget about their huge selection of Lazy Boy recliners. They are awesome and one of the biggest selections in the Midwest. Call them today at 618-936-0536 and get your free estimate or set up a consultation with one of their experts. You can also go to jerseyvillecarpetandfurniture.net. Proud sponsor of Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
Do you realize that the Gateway section and the over 350 men and women are here to serve you in any way they can? Whether it's running your member guest, getting the driving range prep for your next practice session, or maybe just you and your girl getting in a quick 9 and then dinner after work. The Gateway PGA professionals are here for you. I bet you didn't realize the Gateway section, one of the 41 sections around this great country, has been rated in the top 3 in many of the most important categories. Your Gateway, or Great Way section, as it's affectionately known, is here for you to help you any way possible. The Gateway section of PGA Golf Professional, here to assist you with all of your golfing needs. You can visit them at gatewaypga.org and make sure you look for some of these other cool programs. PGA Reach, the PGA Junior League, or the award-winning PGA Hope program that helps our veterans. That's the Gateway PGA of America, here for you.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on, and our thanks to Matt Minder from the Amatuer Players Tour with Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin, coming to you from the CarShield Studios, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. I don't know if you know how to do it. I don't know if I know how to do it. You're going to be on Facebook Live tonight with a bunch of info on the APT.
I think I just have to click one button and he tees it up for me because I don't know. I know, right? It's it's really interesting. So there's this, and the APT does a really cool job of having like this launch of the schedule, even though they have played one event already, but they launched this here because there's over 20 tournaments in St. Louis. And Danny, these tournaments sell out in like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. The Norwood thing goes like 15 minutes. That thing is gone, you know, and so it's fun to watch all that. You know, you kind of, there's a little bit of excitement, and like the Dalhousie event, going to be sick. It'll be sold out in no time.
Okay, we've got coming up later in the show, tips for seniors, golf tips for seniors, which I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'm a senior yet. 50 and older, are you a senior?
I think 50's it.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
So we
Welcome
also
to the
have
old Geezer Club.
Kevin Kirk is coming up, a PGA Master Professional. If you just joined us, hopefully a nice long conversation with him. 2019 PGA Teacher of the Year, Golf Magazine's top 100 teacher in America. He has worked with Patrick Reed, Lexi Thompson, Graham McDowell, many, many more. I cannot wait to visit with Kevin Kirk.
Kevin Kirk is a super, super cool human being. I've known Kevin for probably 40 years. We definitely were trying to dig it out of the dirt together, try to figure out what the hell was going on with us and game, and why is it going left? Why is it going right? Why is it not going? All those sort of things. So, yeah, it's been you're going to love him. I can't wait for folks to just listen to the way he talks about golf, Danny, because he looks at this thing from you as an entire person. So there's mind, health, body, that sort of thing, where it's not just, hey man, you're a bag of bones swinging a golf club. You've got a spirit, you've got a mind, you've got all of this different stuff that plays into it and matters.
I would imagine he's going to tell us, and I don't know, maybe he will, but not one size fits all when dealing with a player because of the mental side, because of the physical nature of a swing. A man, a woman, all that stuff is different. As I mentioned, Lexi Thompson is one of his students, and then, Graham McDowell, Patrick Reed, some of these great golfers, but not one size fits all.
Well, and if you look at those guys, it's the way they swing it, holy cow. I mean, Lexi, Graham McDowell, and Patrick Reed. I mean, there's Graham McDowell has got more of that thing starting a little way off the ball and out, dropping it back in and hitting a lot of draws, a lot of fades. So I can remember, Danny, when Graham McDowell first came over to the PGA Tour. I played with him in his very first event. We were up in Vancouver, and it was the GVO, Greater Vancouver Open, and he's a tiny little guy. Man, he had a lot of game.
Yeah.
A lot of game. And he also looked like he was 14, at the time. He had his little rosy cheeks. Really a good guy, good sense of humor. We really got on well.
So you may be wondering, if you're listening, what is a PGA Master Professional? Really a great honor, prestigious honor given to PGA of America members. It was established all the way back in 1969. So part of the resume that you have to have is 10 years of PGA membership, advanced certificates through the PGA Certified Professional Program, complete just a major project based on their previous certification, and present that project and defend it at PGA headquarters. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about the project that he did. And for some of these, as we've talked about in the past, I mean, it's 50, 75, 100, if not more pages of a theory of how they approach the game of golf and teaching.
Oh, Danny, absolutely. And I mean, it's so just to give folks an idea, there's only 435 master professionals in the PGA of America system with there's 350 million people in the United States, and there's, what do we say, somewhere around 31,000 members at the PGA of America, and you only have 435 of those dudes have made it to this certification. It's a big deal. Our good buddy here in town, Terry Grosh, is a master professional. There's a few others. They're kind of slipping my mind right now, but man, it's a big feather in your cap to accomplish something like that.
I'm curious, in switching gears here, have you watched the TGL Sim League?
I did.
I know you kind of, the first week, you kind of flipped through it a little bit. You had it on DVR, so you went back and watched some of it.
Yep.
But then with Tiger being a part of it this past week, which, by the way, it outrated, again, the NBA and college basketball. Man, so many people they just want to watch Tiger play.
I didn't see the ratings, Danny, but I was sure waiting for them. Were they better than the week before as well because Tiger played?
They were up.
Okay, so they were up. Okay, yeah. So Okay, so folks, here's the deal that you have to understand about playing in a sim league. This is the sim league, the mother of all sim leagues.
It sure
right?
is.
Okay, so that screen is what did we say, Danny? 80 by 50 feet? I mean, it is massive.
I think it's 25. If you're in a sim league or practice in a sim league or a simulator right now, I think it's 25 of those put together to make up for what they're playing at the TGF.
Wow, that's a great call and a great way to put it in perspective. But here's the problem for professional golfers. You use your eyes and your feet and your body to feel everything. And I mean everything. You're standing on the ground and it'll tell you how firm or how soft. I mean, the input that you get back is ridiculous. But your eyes, and I just want to tell you, when you're standing on a tee and you're looking out through a fairway, at a normal fairway on the golf course, and you see, okay, I got water to the left, I've got this, I've got that, and you have numbers, but you have your depth perception that backs up those numbers. And you can give it, I don't know how else to explain this, but you can give it a little more oomph if you're going, aggressively over this line. You might say in the sim league, oh, heck, it's only 270 yards to carry. I don't have to worry about that. But Danny, I don't know why. It's just different. And watching Tiger play yesterday, I'm like, it was just different. He looked lost. He just looked lost to me.
Well, this past week, I think it was on Tuesday night. Yeah. So the ratings came in. They were outstanding. And a big reason why is Tiger Woods. By the way, his team was blown out. I think it was 12-1 or something like that.
It wasn't even close. How about Kevin Kisner? Folks, Kevin Kisner put the old ball in the bunker and hit it right in the forehead, scolded. He might have hit a patron if it hadn't hit the flagstick, and everybody lost it. Both teams, everybody was nearly on the floor because, Danny, you just don't see that very often.
Literally, Tiger was in tears, and I don't think I've ever seen him laugh as hard or smile as much than he did that night, which was just great to see.
Did you see him leave a ball in the bunker, Danny?
Yes.
Look, we've all left shots when they're extremely hard, but everything is new in there. You have to learn how to pitch. I watched Colin Morikawa because I know what this is like, Danny, when it's not a real turf. The ball bounces, the club bounces, and it doesn't quite react the same way. And these guys haven't had any time to practice. Remember, there's only one of these. These guys are flying all over the place down in the West Palm because that's where this stadium, this inflatable stadium, and there's only 1,500 spectators.
I've been kind of shocked, though, and you're right, 1,500 spectators, and the tickets are pretty high if you want to go watch Tiger.
$900,
Right. I've been shocked at the names that are a part of this. And I'm sure it's Rory and Tiger convincing these great players, hey, we can grow the game, we can have some fun.
Yep.
We understand you might be in California, you might be in Arizona. Take your private plane, come on down to Florida, and let's have a little fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's going to come, and I told you this, was it last week when we talked about this? You're going to get to see personalities here. You're going to get to see the PGA Tour needle. You're going to get to hear. That's the whole key to this league. The golf is going to be. I'm going to just say it. It's going to not be as good as you're expecting because it's just different, and these guys don't know it yet. And let me tell you, they don't like it.
I can tell
you, they don't like it. It makes me a little cringeworthy when I watch, Colin Morikawa hit that chip, and he's like, nope. He knew he didn't hit it quite right, and the ball just took off.
Or Tiger with a wedge and put it 20 yards or 20 feet past the green, and it goes in the water.
I don't know if he just hit that right in the forehead or what, but did you see his son Charlie's reaction? Charlie's like, Dad, what's up, man?
Right. I tell you, one of the things I love in this is literally a shot clock.
Yes, 100%.
So why not take that and implement that on the PGA Tour? I was thinking of this, Jay, is that on every green, you could have a putting clock, which is where it seems like the most time is taken up with the players.
Danny, I was just going to say, you know what? You could take or leave a shot clock from tee to green, but give it to them on the greens or up and around the greens. Absolutely. This is your time. You know what the clock is. You're looking right at the clock. It'll have your initials. It'll say DM, get up there and hit this thing, man. So I like it. I like it. I got to tell you, I thought Sahith Theegala stole the show. I loved
too.
watching him play. I love watching him smile. Did you see his dad was all wrapped up in it? I just love it. One of my favorites to watch.
Okay, I got one more thing. I'm going to go back to Liv, and then we're going to visit with Kevin Kirk. Can't wait to visit with him, and he'll be our guest in our next segment, and hopefully a couple segments. We'll see how it's going, but people are always interested in how you're taught the game and then a little bit of his history. But Kevin says he thinks it's time for Liv members to get automatic exemptions into majors. And he's talking about winners on the Liv Tour. If they win an event, that they get the automatic exemption into majors. Now, we already have some of those guys getting a chance. World Golf Rankings make a big part of that. But if you win at a Liv event, three-day event, you should get exemptions into the majors. I'm not buying it.
48 people playing, and you and I can't name half the last half of the fields.
Yeah, you're not in.
I don't see. I mean, are we self-serving again or what? I mean, we are. Of course, he thinks you should do that. I mean, is there maybe a better formula, Danny, for a Liv player to get in? Is there maybe a better formula saying, okay, here's what you've got to do, and we're going to make this look? It's not easy to play in a majors, right? So here's what you have to do. In order to qualify for the Masters, or any, we could group them together. You're going to have to have X amount of top 10s, X amount of top 5s, and X amount of win.
Yeah.
So, okay, you win, great. Now we need to have two top 5s or 2 top 10s and get that done.
I think that works.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to make it a little harder, okay? Because, yes, listen, it's not easy to win anywhere. But you're talking about...
So you're saying multiple times that you win. Are you going 2, 3, 4?
I don't know about multiple times winning, but maybe multiple times winning and then something follows it up with a top 5. Or,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like one top 5, one top 10 gets you in or something like that. There's got to be a little bit of added things on there. But, I mean, Danny, these guys, if you got the major entities in a room, which they would do, and you chatted about this, they'd come up with something that would be substantial. Winning on the PGA Tour, and it's way harder than winning on Liv, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And that gets you in. So let's get them a win and something else, or maybe create a point system, Danny, with type finishes, and you need to have X amount of points to get in the major championships.
I like that too.
Yeah.
That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We roll on. Coming up, we'll visit with Kevin Kirk. Again, if you just joined us, PGA Master Professional will be our guest. Later in the show, we're going to have tips for seniors. That's coming up with Jay. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing from the CarShield Studios, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
Do you remember the golden rule? I'm sure you do, but just in case, it goes like this. Treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. At People's National Bank, that one statement is the cornerstone of what this bank is all about. Locally owned, with 23 locations in Southern Illinois and the metropolitan St. Louis area, People's National Bank parlays a robust menu of commercial or personal banking services you could possibly need with a friendly yet hardworking Midwestern attitude. Maybe you just want to do business with a bank whose entire team lives in the same neighborhoods as we do. If you're like me and doing business with someone you trust is important to you, then People's National Bank is the bank for you. Jason Rantham, local president, is here for you to call, and he'll answer any questions you may have. His personal cell is 314-974-2243. You can also find us online at peoplesnationalbank.com. People's National Bank is here for all of your banking needs.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient, it's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make, and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
As you know from hearing Danny and I talk about Marcone for the last 3 years, you know how philanthropic they are. Whether it's their undying support for first responders, the backstoppers, or our wonderful military heroes, Marcone is leading our community in supporting the police, fire, first responders, or the military. From Wreaths Across America to the Marcone First Responders viewing deck at the Stiefel Charity Classic, Marcone is there, making a difference in our community any way they can. That's Marcone, the largest supplier of General Electric parts in North America and proud supporter of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our back 9 bar and grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
A professional golfer, as you watch on TV every Sunday afternoon, never ventures onto the course without his trusted caddy. This was true for me for my entire career. I want you to think of Powers Insurance as your insurance caddy that you never had. Just as my golf caddy helped me to assess risk on the golf course, Powers Insurance can do the same for you in your busy and complicated life. Tim Davis, COO at Powers Insurance, did exactly that for me and saved me over 50% on one of my coverages. A good insurance risk advisor can help you know when to take a chance or when it may be smarter to take a little more club. Give the folks at Powers Insurance a call and get a caddy for all of your insurance needs. Call them at 314-725-1414. That's 314-725-1414. That's Powers Insurance.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on. That is Jay. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and our guest is Kevin Kirk. And what a resume it is. PGA Master Professional, 2019 PGA Teacher of the Year, and a Golf Magazine Top 100 Teacher in America. I'm sure there's much more, Jay, that I probably have not included in this resume, but what an amazing teacher.
Danny, you could start knocking off some of his accolades. I could run out and go grab a cup of coffee for both of us and come back and we'd still be talking about that. Kevin, good morning, man. Thanks for joining us this morning.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my gosh, we're so excited. So, Kevin, tell everybody how you fell in love with the game. You and I go back probably much further than anybody wants to hear about, but you and I have been knowing each other for over 30 years. But tell everybody just a little bit about your story, because we're going to get into the sort of person you are, how you teach, the great stable of golfers that you've had and stuff. But let's go way back and talk about how it kind of all started.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was taking up the game about the time I was born, so I don't remember not playing. It was just always something I did, and he was in the oil field, so we lived overseas, and I really didn't live in the States until I was in high school. So in the expat communities overseas, they usually have a little golf course, and, so I always had my hands on a golf club, but I did a lot of other things. I played a lot of other sports, and around 12 or 13, I guess around 12, I ran into a golf pro in Venezuela. His name is Francie Betancourt, who kind of grabbed me by the collar and really started helping me develop some fundamentals. And I just fell in love with golf. And from that point on, golf was kind of my primary thing. And we came back to the States. I had a good high school and amateur career. I played professionally for 6 years after I got out of school. And then woke up one day and realized that I was kind of at the end of the road. There's a moment you kind of come to as a professional athlete where it's like, this is it. I can't keep doing this. And so I crashed into that moment, and it was kind of messy for me. I really had not. I didn't have a B plan. I graduated from college, but it was always just golf, 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 and so I took a year to try to figure out what I was doing. And after a year of thinking about it, I worked in the oil field a little bit, did some roughnecking, and after being away from golf for a while, I realized golf wasn't as bad as I actually thought it was. And so I gravitated back towards as a coach. And so in 1990, I started coaching. And I'll never forget, I went out to the golf course. I grew up in this community, and so I put an ad in the paper, and people knew who I was. And so the very first day I went out there, I had 8 people sign up for a 1-hour lesson. I charged them $25 a pop. I walked out of there with $200 in my pocket, and I could not believe how easy it was. I was like, that's like I could, it was like the easiest thing ever. And so really that was it for me. I fell in love with teaching, and it allowed me to kind of get back into golf and in a little different role. I still had some unanswered questions from my playing days that I wanted to explore. So it gave me the opportunity to begin to explore that from a more detached perspective. It's hard when you're playing for a living. You seem like you're so attached to everything, but as a coach, I was able to kind of detach myself from some of that and start looking at things more objectively. And so I was fortunate enough at that time. I had a couple friends of mine that were on the tour, Greg Twiggs and Brian Clare and some guys that thought I knew a little bit about golf. And so I was coaching them right away. So day one, I had a couple of tour clients, and that kind of kept me in the high performance arena, so I could kind of continue to explore that. But I really fell in love with the developmental coaching and developing players, and it's taken me around the world, and I've got to see some of the most incredible things. And I still it doesn't really feel like work to me at the end of the day. It's I kind of laugh. I tell everybody I've never really had a job. I just get to go out to the golf course and hang out with people and watch them play and talk to them about golf. And I said, that's not really work. I actually working on an oil rig was work, but this is clearly not work. So
Kevin, I'm sure you have, just like in any walk of life, evolved in your profession. So what were the theories that you taught with, and then secondarily, who were your influences along the way?
Yeah, so I mean, Bob Toski was kind of I'd spent a lot of time with him when I was kind of growing up. When we moved back to the States, one of the members of the club was playing on the tour at the time, and he was working with Bob, and he said, hey, listen, approached my dad and said, hey, Kevin's got some talent, and he's going to probably need a coach, and I'm happy to introduce him to Bob Toski. So when I was playing golf professionally, but and through the developmental phases from about 16, I guess, to 29. Mr. Toski was my primary go-to. I bounced around and would go talk to other people, but I would always end up back with if I needed to try to get it right, to try to understand it, I would go back to Mr. Toski and work, talk it out with him. Once I kind of got out of golf, moved past all that. I mean, you started seeing, guys like David Ledbetter become pretty famous, and so I started kind of exploring, a lot of the different coaches at that time. I think, Jim McLean was floating around doing a bunch of work. I got to be around the Harmons and watch them do all their work with, I got to watch Butch with Tiger and all the guys he worked with really closely. And so being able to kind of watch all that and then bringing my own experience to it, it was really funny. I had all these things that my curiosity would kind of drag me around, and I ended up kind of just going to see some of the craziest people. I would go see biomechanists, neuroscientists, anybody that I thought that could, I would start exploring something. I spent a little bit of time around Mac O'Grady, was probably the smartest golf guy I've ever been around. So, for me, it was like an opportunity to go just explore and let my curiosity drag me around to places. And back in those days, there was no internet. So if you wanted to go do something, you had to hop on a plane, or, you had to go see them. And so for me, that human connection that I had with those people was incredible. And I'm just super fortunate that those people had took the time with me and were kind enough with me to help steer me along and help me. So.
Kev, I mean, Bob Toski is such a legend in his wisdom, and I think he was so far ahead of the basic curve for us. But when I think back about some of the things that I was taught at the very beginning, where I'm like, if you want to hit a draw, you swing out to the right. If you want to hit a fade, we're swinging more left. And we didn't relate anything to the club face. At least I didn't relate much to the club face, Kev. So when my ball would start left and hook, I wasn't swinging far enough out to the right, so I needed to go farther out to the right, which only closed the face more and hooked more. And it wasn't for me until, oh gosh, the high-speed cameras come in and we can actually look at impact and go, dude, it's club face, man. You have got to get control of the club face in order to get control of that golf ball.
Yeah, there's truth there. I think, that the club face is the only thing that touches the golf ball. And I really think that, if you can start your exploration in golf around the interaction with that club face and the golf ball, I mean, that's really where the rubber meets the road. The rest of it's interesting, but it's really kind of how the club head's moving, what the club face is doing, and how what the information is giving the golf ball. I mean, that's what makes it fly. So, but I was like you. I mean, I was like the 17th thing I was looking at, when I was trying to explore my golf. So.
Kevin Kirk, a PGA Master professional, is our guest. And you mentioned when you first started, no internet. So now, plenty of internet, plenty of technology. How has that changed the way that you teach in the game of golf? My thoughts about golf have, I was fortunate. I was around good teachers, and I tried really hard at it. And I thought deeply about golf, and when I started teaching, my golf IQ is actually pretty high. I mean, I've heard a lot of coaches say they wish they could find the first 50 people they taught and they would give them their money back. I never felt that way. I mean, I felt like that I knew more than the people that I was coaching, and so I may not have all the answers, but I was surely further down the road than they were. So I never really felt that way, But as I started looking at golf, when I stepped back away from golf, I decided as I leaned into it as a coach, I said, so I'm gonna quit trying to try to kind of prove anybody right or wrong. I'm just gonna try to understand how this works. I need to understand how it works. So I started looking at it from a physics perspective and a geometric perspective and an anatomical, the anatomy and physiology and neurology. And I started kind of looking at it from a more objective approach. It wasn't so attached to, this is what my coach says, or this is what I feel, and all this other stuff. So for me, that freedom to really kind of lean into it and start building some models in my head about the way I thought it works. And the models that I've used haven't changed much, to be fair. Maybe my thoughts about and understanding about how the body moves and have changed slightly, but the only thing that's changed really between when Jay and I was playing, Jay and I were playing, is really there's two things that have changed. The golf ball's changed, and then we've got these drivers that are built to go a mile. So, and one of the things that I've really come to understand is that anytime that there's been any really noticeable change in let's say swing mechanics or form, of the golf swings take, it was always precipitated by a change in technology first. So when the golf ball changed, the golf ball that Jay and I played was spun like crazy. It was low launch. You had to hit it low off the face, and then it would climb. And then they introduced this three-piece golf ball that does exactly the opposite. It likes to kind of launch high and doesn't like to spin. So as soon as that happened, the players, in order to adapt to the new golf ball, had to change the way they delivered the club. And so a lot of the things that we used to see, like a lot of kind of, leg action, a lot of kind of shaft lean and things like that, which were great for that spinny golf ball, just now today, they just simply don't work. So for me, it was just being able to try to develop an understanding so that I could look at a swing like Jim Furyk's and say, I can understand how that works, right? Or I can look at a swing that that may be not being something that would be out of the ordinary. Because we see a lot of good players that have awkward or unordinary or idiosyncratic swings, and I wanted to be able to understand not only how a really good swing, like that we would see, like a Ludwig, Auberger, one of those kids that swings it perfect. But when you see a Jim Furyk, how does that work too? I wanted to understand golf at that level, and so
So by developing this, this approach, I was able to start being able to look at things and try to understand. I'm not trying to prove anything right or wrong or good or bad, just try to understand it. So.
Kev, I can remember I was sitting on the driving range down in Greensboro, and the Big Bertha first came out. And I'm over here with my 42-inch wooden Cleveland driver, trying to figure out how, got a shorter shaft, trying to figure out how I can hit this daggone ball in the fairway. And they say to me, high toe. And I'm like, what? I've been trying to hit it in the center, and I can't hit it in the center enough. And now you're running to tell me to miss the center on purpose. I'm like, I might miss the entire golf ball. But I could just remember, wow. Kev, what's one of the things that's interesting, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this, because you grew up in the same generation, in the same era that I did, and nobody basically swung the same way when we watched golf. You had Jack, who was real upright. You had Lee, which was real flat and real around. Tom Watson, real upright. You had a lot of stuff in between. The great Chichi Rodriguez. Some of the best ball hitters swung so homemadely that it was unbelievable. But to your point, and to your last point, the moment of truth, the most important 12 inches in the golf swing, these guys were all world class. And that's what we grew up watching.
Yeah, and I think that's really, it was just the ability to deliver the golf club in a way that would make the ball fly like they wanted to, so they can control it, and then have it be relatively predictable with a small enough variance in terms of that they could kind of go out and play at the level that they wanted to. And so, but as I'm looking at it, I'm not looking at it from that perspective back in that time. I'm looking at a whole different set of things. And so part of being able to kind of, become a better coach is being able to kind of move through those things to say, okay, what actually moves the needle here? What's actually going to change the flight of this golf ball, right? Because a lot of things we onboard and attempt to try to kind of change ball flight or change the way we hit it don't really make that much difference. So understanding, okay, if I'm going to change the flight of this golf ball, what has to change? And I think, and to be fair, I'm not a huge TrackMan fan. To be fair, I think it's done a lot of damage to a lot of players. But I will say that I'm not throwing that technology under the bus. But what it did really help us understand is start to understand some of these relationships much more clearly than we had in the past. I think the over dependence on the machines today has gotten out of hand. And I'm not sure that all the math is 100% correct. I know I know that people are probably gonna get phone calls and emails and hate mail for that. But the truth of the matter is, I've been out there, and I work with the best players in the world and watch them hit shots. And it's pretty often they'll hit a shot that comes off, and the machine's reading something and the ball's doing something else. So while I understand that the machines they're great. They have helped us understand kind of some of these relationships that we didn't understand maybe as well prior. But I would say our over-reliance on them in today's game, I think, is becoming something that's just, you've got people making huge decisions with using these machines that, I'm not 100% convinced that that the math inside the machines is all that accurate. So.
Kevin Kirk, a PGA Master Professional, one of the best teachers not only in America but in the world, is our guest. Back with more in just a moment on Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hi, this is Bob Costas, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute-trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion. You've heard me talking about the APT this year, but I want to help break down what this tour is all about. Firstly, it's the Amatuer Players Tour. I was lucky and privileged to have played golf on the PGA Tour, golf's highest level. So I know what it's like to have a real strong and fair competition. For amateur golf, this is absolutely the closest thing to PGA Tour style golf in terms of fairness of handicaps and the competition. Secondly, APT is the largest amateur tour in the country. In just over 6 years, Matt Minder and his team have over 7,000 members with over 44 local chapters spread across the country. The Amatuer Players Tour runs over 800 tournaments a year. 800! That number alone tells you that they are doing something right. They play some premium golf courses around the country like Paynes Valley, Kiowa Island Ocean Course, and Torrey Pines South, and many more. Go to AmatuerPlayersTour.com and find out for yourself. That's AmatuerPlayersTour.com.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green design to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Darty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Darty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Darty Business Solutions.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. Have a question for Jay? Log on to jdelsinggolf.com. Now let's head back to Jay and Dan.
Kevin Kirk is our guest. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Kevin, a PGA Master Professional, 2019 PGA Teacher of the Year, and a Golf Magazine Top 100 Teacher in America. Kevin, you have worked with Graham McDowell, Patrick Reed, Lexi Thompson, and so many more. What is it like to work with a professional at the pinnacle of the sport? Just in general, what is it like to work with these great players?
Remember, Kev, we're not cable.
I will keep that in mind. I think that's probably a pretty good call there, Jay. I'm just gonna talk about that. I think what you're dealing with always, you're dealing with these people that are at the they're exceptional. You know, these players are at the very peak of their sport. They've all got, you know, one or two personality traits that are probably 2 standard deviations off the norm that let them do things that other people can't. And a lot of those things make those people very complicated to deal with. And so
that was so beautifully said.
Diplomatic,
have you done this before?
a couple times. I think I've answered that question somewhere along the way. But I would say, you know, the fun part of it for me is to be able to kind of get to know the players, try to look at the way they're kind of, you know, generating their score, and then figuring out kind of what's going to move the needle for them. And a lot of times, like in Lexi's case, a great case in point, I got called in to help her because her putting was supposedly really bad. So I went in out and I did a skills test. I watched her some full shots and some approach wedges, and asked her, watch her flight some different shots that I asked her to hit. Well, did a putting test. She putted beautifully, and then we got up around the green and watched her chip, and she could hardly chip it on the green. And I said, after talking to her, I said, Lexi, I don't think you got a putting problem, kid. I think your chipping is not good enough, son. I think you're scared to death to miss a green, so you hit it to 40 feet all the time. You're just not going to make many 40-footers, So we talked with her about that. I said, there's some math relative to to keeping the golf ball in the fairway. So that's something you want to kind of look at for proximity. I said the second thing is if you tidy up your chipping, you're going to be a little more willing to kind of take on a few more pins and get some golf balls closer to the hole, and I think your putting is going to improve. And so a lot of times, that's the type of stuff that you get into. It's like, okay, you get to kind of get under the hood of a car and and figure out, okay, we're trying to kind of get this specific result out of the engine. And, so how are we going to, what's the least invasive thing that we can do here that can potentially kind of make a difference? So.
Kev, it's so interesting because I got to walk with Lexi at a U.S. Open when we were doing Fox, and I got to watch her, and I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more because, and this was at a time when she was such a relevant, personality and player on the LPGA Tour, and whenever she missed a green, there was besides Kev, the results themselves, the technique was so bad that there wasn't. She should be nervous. You know what I mean? And if you're not nervous, there's something wrong with you. But what I wanted to go back with your really great explanation of these tour players and things. Part of, at least this is my opinion, part of their genius lies in some of this quirkiness and lies in some of the, you said a couple of standard deviations away from the norm. There's, in my opinion, hanging around most of these alphas, on the PGA Tour, they have this sense that everything they're doing is right or similar, and some of the other rules don't apply to them, for lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah, I think they're obviously they either have the capacity to clear the mechanism just so clear that there's no interference between them and what they're trying to do, or they've got some sort of belief in themselves that it sometimes is exaggerated to, that in the stories that they're able to kind of tell themselves allow them to kind of not interfere with, not so that they don't interfere with themselves when they're trying to play. And so it's they're not trying to fix anything for the most part. They're pretty, they think that whatever they're doing is good and okay. I mean, you used to listen to Jack Nicklaus talk. He was like, the guy would, never had a bad thought about himself ever.
It's so interesting when you talk about that because Jackie is a good friend, and he used to say to me, I used to ask Dad, I need a couple birdies coming down stretch to make the cut, and I just can't seem to do it. And Jack's like, I don't understand. I just felt like anything I needed to do. I just did, and it's really interesting how the mind works, and then along with it, the self-belief.
Correct.
So, hey, Kev, I've got to mention about your Master Professional. There's only 435 of you dudes around the country. Tell us a little bit about that, because I don't really think people really understand or can appreciate all the time and effort and energy that went into to gaining that title.
Yeah, I think the Master Professional status is kind of a status that's been around for a long time. It's really, just gives golf professionals an opportunity to step up and do something, lean off into kind of an area of expertise, something deeply. And so there was a few other guys that I'd kind of been around that were like Michael Hebron and some of those guys, and that were Master Professionals, and I listened to them kind of talk and kind of. So for me, I got into to the golf business only because I was going to teach, and I was really stubborn on the front end. I was really not. I was kind of anti-PGA, and I wasn't going to do that. And so luckily, I had a guy that named Jack Forrester, who was the director of golf at one of the golf courses that I'd started working at, that kind of pulled me aside, and said, "Hey, listen, I understand what you're saying, and part of what you're saying is correct, but unless your name is Harmon or something else, you're gonna have to kind of join the party here." So I decided that I was going to get involved with the PGA, and so I went through the apprentice program, and there was also kind of a teaching certification that had just kind of been launched. They were just starting to kind of have areas of specialty for golf pros, and so the very first group there was like 17 of us. They did a like a beta group with some of the other, but this was the first time it was offered. I was just barely eligible to be able to kind of get involved in this program, and I took it on. It was literally like a master's program. The amount of work that was required was really significant. I mean, I spent 100 hours writing a document, like a master's thesis that I had to present to these to some of the guys that were PGA members or PGA pros that were kind of on this particular board, and then answer a bunch of questions. There was a big written exam, and so it's a pretty big lift, and I'd been to college, so I mean it wasn't even much different than a semester of college, but it was something that I wanted to do just because I knew that if, in the world that I was kind of moving into, I had to be able to do some things to distinguish myself and to kind of separate myself from the herd. And so I did it. And I was, I got through this program so, it was just one of those things I decided to take on and it's kind of my personality. I mean, when I do things, I want to kind of lean in and do it well, and I'm not afraid of work. So for me, it was I thought it was something that was going to make a difference in my career, and so I'm obviously proud that I was able to pull that off, and I think it has given me some leverage as I've moved around the world and done some different things, specifically kind of in the coach education area and things like that.
And Kevin Kirk, congratulations, a PGA Master Professional. I want to go back to your teaching just for a moment, and we've really focused on the physical side of what you do. Do you feel, though, like you're a psychologist on the mental side in dealing with all these different players that you deal with?
Yeah, I think coaching, is, there's always that, there's four components in coaching that, from a anytime you're looking at athlete development, you're looking at four different things. There's a technical component for technique. There's a physical component for making sure the physical platform is going to work. There's a mental component, and there's a tactical component, which is your strategies and planning and things like that. So when you're looking at taking on a client long term, specifically, you start kind of leaning it, particularly when you start dealing with some of the high performance players. You got to make sure that you take a look at the entire landscape, and so having the capacity and the ability to understand some of the challenges that the players face. I think that it I think probably for me the thing that's allowed me to kind of be I would consider myself above average in kind of coaching in that mental space. Pretty far above average, but a lot of it is because I have the empathy because I've gone through it. I've tried to, I know what it feels like to try to kind of feed myself with golf clubs. I know what it's like to try to take on a swing change. I know what it's like to, to come down on a Friday afternoon and have a 6-footer to try to make a cut or a putt to win a tournament. I know what that feels like. I've been in those positions enough that when I speak with these players and I can, I'm probably more empathetic just because I've had those experiences. And I think that if you look at the coaches, the really exceptional coaches, you start looking at the Butch Harmons of the world and some of these guys that have been around a while. The guys that play golf for a living coach differently than people that didn't. I mean, and so for me, having that failed player background, really allowed me to kind of be able to step in and help these competitive players. And I think it's a big part of, once you kind of get the physical things in place and get the tactical, the technical things in place, most of it is just making sure the player's in the right headspace. And then, if they get off the rails, being able to understand them well enough to steer them back on course.
It's interesting, Kev. You said failed player experience, but it really wasn't, was it? It was just an experience that didn't go the way you thought it would go, but it's taken you to a different place now.
Yeah, There's no doubt about that, Jay. For me, I mean, when I got to the end of my playing days, I was heartbroken. I was crushed. I mean, it was a dark few months trying to kind of figure out what was next. But once I kind of got out there and started teaching, I realized, because, one of the questions I asked myself in that entire year off, I said, how can you possibly work that hard at something and not have it work out? Because all I had in my mind was going to be I was going to be a Ryder Cup player. I was going to win majors. I was going to be one of the best players in the world. And I worked my tail off. And I'm like, how on earth can that not happen with all the work that you put in? Good intent, doing all the right stuff. And then once I got into teaching, I realized that my true nature is actually I'm more a collaborator than a competitor. I'm not terribly competitive by nature. I love to collaborate. I love to kind of help people. I love to kind of work on projects, with other people. I love to, team up with people and to do things, so that's to me feels better than trying to go out and cut somebody's throat and watch them bleed out. And so for me, that capacity to, once I started teaching, I realized that, that it was not indeed a wasted bunch of time, because what it allowed me to do, it gave me a knowledge base that now I can take all that experience and all that hard work and all those things that I experienced, and I can use them to help other people, which is, that feels good to me. I love being of service to others. So.
And that's the last comment that I want to make. And when I'm around you, we were hanging out a month or so back doing a little coaching and teaching seminar, and there's a service-oriented part of we humans that is important. And as golfers, and as some of the members of the great sections of the PGA of America around the country, there's 41 of these sections. These golfers are basically golf stewards and golf concierges for the rest of the golf community. And that's kind of the way I see it. I think it's kind of the way that you see it, and it's kind of the direction that I think the game is going, with so many more people playing now, where they can start leaning into these golf professionals that do so much for them, and get a more community oriented relationship, I guess, for a kind of a lousy way to say what I'm trying to say.
No, I think that's exactly right, Jay. I mean, I think, one of the things that I came to an understanding when I stopped playing, it was like I said, it was golf broke me. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, it took me to my knees. And so, when it didn't work out like I wanted to, it was a painful period of time. And so I decided that, as I reflected on that experience, one of the things I recognized was the selfishness involved in trying to be a professional athlete is staggering. You have to be really self-centered, selfish, and it's got to be all about you. And so one of the things that I decided that I was going to do going forward is that I didn't like that part of my sport experience. I did, in retrospect, I look back and I was like, gosh, I was awful to a lot of people, and going forward, that my life was no longer going to be about that. I was going to be of service to God and to others, and that was it. So as I kind of moved down that pathway, all of a sudden being able to be in a position where I can be of service to others. And, the one thing that everybody says, well, gosh, how are you going to make a living? Well, from the day that I made that decision, I have never gone without a meal or without a roof over my head. I've got plenty of money in the bank, and I am doing just fine.
What a great perspective that is. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. Great perspective on life and the game of golf. And again, on behalf of Jay, thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys having me on. And while I've got you, I want to also kind of just take the time to thank you guys both personally for kind of standing up and beating the golf drum out there in the world. We need we all of us that are out here on the ground doing work really appreciate all the stuff that you guys do, and so thank you so much for what you do.
This is Gary Christian, author of the book Beat the Course, Not Yourself, and you are listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Are you driving an out-of-warranty car? It's only a matter of time before your out-of-warranty vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. Auto repair costs are up nearly 20% from last year, which is 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is just over 3 years old, it's still prone to expensive costs. Your car is more than just getting you from point A to point B. Traveling by car is a way of life. From picking up your kids to going to a new restaurant, cars are a daily essential. When you enroll in a car protection plan through CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file, or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers protection plans that start as low as $100 per month. That's $100 per month. They have repair coverage for up to 5,000 different parts of your vehicle. Plus, when your car breaks down and you're stuck on the side of the road, you get 24/7 coast-to-coast roadside assistance. You also get complimentary towing and rental car options. CarShield has my back when my car breaks down, and they can have yours too. Call CarShield today at 800-465-6550 or visit carshield.com. It's CarShield, proud sponsor of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. The game of golf is booming in popularity. All of our measurables are at or near all-time record levels. Remember this name for any and all of your golf needs. It's Pro-Am Golf. You need lessons? Tom DeGrand continues to provide our area with top-level instructions. His 40-plus years of experience matter. What about a golf gift for that someone special in your life? Maybe it's shoes, clothing, or golf's latest tech. Yes, sir, Pro-Am Golf has you covered. This family-owned and operated business has been serving our community for the last 45-plus years. You can visit Pro-Am Golf at proamgolfusa.com or do like I do. Go over to the Brentwood location and meet the DeGrands yourself. You won't be disappointed. Pro-Am Golf for all your golf needs, or check out proamgolfusa.com.
This is Chris Nagel. And you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Have you noticed how expensive it is to attend or send your child to college? It's nearly impossible not to be blown away at the current cost. And oh yeah, we both know it's only going to cost more next year. Well, get ready for a game-changing solution for you, your child, and your entire family. Have you heard of the Evans Scholarship Program? This is a 120-year-old program that's been sending qualifying young men and women to college absolutely free. That's right, for no cost to you. In 2024 alone, 1,130 men and women are receiving this scholarship across 24 of the finest universities in our country. To date, over 12,000 men and women have graduated using the Evans Scholarship, with the average GPA being 3.3, and the graduating rate for these scholars is an impressive 95.6%. To qualify, you must have a strong caddy record, outstanding grades, excellent character, and a verified financial need. To find out more, visit WGAESF.org.
This is Kevin Kirk, a master PGA professional. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Hi, I'm Adam Betts, PGA professional and owner at Family Golf and Learning Center. We welcome golfers of all ages and abilities, from the junior golfer to the experienced players. From our indoor TrackMan simulators, large short game area, grass tees, and driving range bays, to our golf instruction, leagues, clinics, and camps, we connect you with every resource to reach your golfing goals. We look forward to helping you improve your golf game at Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf. Visit us at familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com.
Golf with Jay Delsing rolls on as we are close to finishing up as we go 2 hours every week with Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Darty Business Solutions, coming to you from the CarShield Studios. All right, what's your takeaway from Kevin Kirk? There's a lot to get into, but, here's a guy, a PGA Master professional. I think the thing that stood out for me, Jay, and I want to get your thoughts on it, but he talked about analytics, and there is a place for it, but yet he is not quite analytically based as maybe some other teachers are that are out there.
Yeah, good call. I mean, but he's gotten down into the weeds on some of the things. And Danny, we talked off air. What'd you think about what he said about the strokes gain? Because he said in that formula, the math, there's some assumptions that he doesn't agree with, and so he uses them, but it's not the end all be all. And I love that. I guess my biggest takeaway, Danny, was this is like we were saying at the start, a full mind, body, heart guy. He's all-encompassing. He's going to think about your family while he's teaching you. He's going to think about your nutrition. He's going to think about your sleep. He's going to think about your diet. He's going to think about your equipment. It's going to encompass it all.
So you teach.
Yeah.
You teach all over the place. You teach beginners. You teach those that are very good, low handicaps, high handicaps, and I know you love to teach the game of golf. What is your basic theory on someone that comes to you, good, bad, indifferent, but your basic theory on teaching the game of golf?
Oh, my gosh. I guess I don't have so when it comes to a swing, I don't have a swing. You know what I mean? I mean, if I could take somebody's swing, I'd probably take Nelly Cordes and call it a day. Never have to worry about going to the range again if it looked like that. But no, you know what? I think, Danny, it's more of trying to understand the personality of the person, because some people have kind of an all or nothing approach. Some people are kind of intimidated and are a little meeker, and other people are the other way, and so I think it depends on that a little bit. And what I do when I first meet somebody is I ask them, what are you looking to get out of this? Like, what are your goals? What would you like? I mean, I love having someone say to me, I'm going to get down to single digits. Or I am going to I'm a 20 handicap and I'm going to get to a 10 or something like that. I love when you have those personal goals. And I love when you move your shoulder like that. It sounds like we got popcorn cracking over there. What did you do to that thing?
Because I'm going to tell you why.
Wow.
Because you said, I want to get down to single digits, which is something I want to do. You have helped me tremendously. I was at single digits. Now I'm high double digit. Not high, but you know what I'm saying.
What is your handicap now?
I got it down to an 8.
I know.
And now it's probably at 12.
12, okay, yeah.
Well, you saw what happened at the end.
There were some issues last year.
So there's my left shoulder is what hurts. It's a big issue.
Yeah, it is.
I can blame it on a body part.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But
so that's what I was doing. I was stretching.
But the reason I brought that up, D, is because that's part of how you have to teach.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not, as we age, there's certain things we can't do anymore. And you have to be aware of that, So if I watch a guy swing, I pretty much have an idea, like you're protecting your back or you're protecting your knee, or you could see that they just don't want to let that thing loose or let it rip. And so, that has to be a consideration for people.
What's the best part of the game you like to teach? Is it putting?
I like short game. Yeah, I like the pitching, the chipping, and the short game. I like that. You know why, Danny? Because that was the hardest area for me to get. It just seemed like so elusive, and man, once I learned it, it's almost like magic, because it can save you so many strokes. Well, I mean, I tell people, I ask them, how's your short game? They're like, why are you asking me so much about my short game? I'm like, well, it makes your bad rounds better, makes your good rounds better, and it makes your okay rounds better. It just helps everything, and you need it. Danny, when I tell a new person that I'm connecting with for a golf lesson or something, I say to them, you understand that somewhere between 55 and 75% of your shots are going to be hit with your wedges and your putter. That's just the facts. just depends on what level you are, but you hit so many shots from 100 yards in, man. That's just where it's at, and it doesn't. Everybody wants to hit it further, but that part to really lower their game doesn't take all that strength. It takes some technique, but it doesn't take all that strength.
So what's the most common – I love asking these questions about teaching because there's a lot of people listening that are, curious about this stuff and saying, hey, I'm going to get a lesson, or I am in the middle of my lessons, and I want to make sure my teacher's doing this thing right. Now I'm listening to a guy on the radio that's been on tour for 30-plus years, and an All-American at UCLA and still competing professionally now. What is the most commonly seen mistake that you see when somebody comes to you and they're like, man, help me out. It's a blank canvas. Help me out.
Danny, the thing that 99.9% of the AMs that I see won't do is they won't let themselves get uncomfortable. They've got this. So what winds up happening, D, is that you create these habits or tendencies, and everybody's different, but they create the shot that you hate. One way or the other. It might be a hook, might be a fade, it might be this, that, the other. But that there is a tendency that you have that lends itself to that kind of ball flight.
Yeah.
And I when I say to people, well, they'll say to me, gosh, that's really super uncomfortable. And I go, great. And they're like, dude, why do you want me to be uncomfortable? Because that's the way we have to break that habit. We've got to break that habit some way. And the only way to do it is to get you uncomfortable. If you're too comfortable, it isn't working, especially at the very beginning, Daddy. Now, can you get comfortable? Of course, but you really got to stay with it, because most people do is they'll start hybriding it. They won't go quite as far, won't do exactly what we were asking, and then it winds up as a hybrid version, and it's not as good.
Now, I'm going to ask you, that leads me to hybrids for seniors.
Yeah.
So we're going to get some tips for seniors that are out there. Yep. You love the idea of a hybrid in their bag.
I love the idea of a hybrid. Look at Fred Couples' golf bag. How about that, Danny? It is absolutely crazy. His longest iron is a 7-iron now.
Really?
It's a 7-iron. He's got 8 woods. I think he might even have like an 11 wood or something like that. He's got a 5 wood, like a 6 wood, and an 8 wood or something like that. And then he's got some hybrids, and he's just like, this is what my bag looks like now. It's all woods. But the point is here, guys, you got to mess with these hybrids because they're more forgiving. They get the ball up in the air easier and gives you more control. So you've got to take that on because it'll help you. It'll make things better.
So would you tell a senior in their bag to add loft?
Absolutely. Add loft, especially with your driver. And they're going to go, Delsing, I'm trying to hit it further, not shorter. And I'm going to say, please add loft and just check it out. And a lot of times, Danny, all that means is get into your driver and wrench it yourself. You know how all these new driver heads, if you've bought a new driver in the last 10 years, that head is adjustable. So you can add more loft onto it. So that's what I want you to try to do. Add more loft. It's amazing how this works. I'm going to tell this story one more time. Your daughter Avery is the high school female player of the year in the state of Missouri. And she got a D1 scholarship, and she is a stud. She is long and athletic and struggled hitting her driver anywhere on this side of the planet. I'm telling you, there'd be certain days in her tournaments where she wouldn't hit one fairway. Now, she was long, but she also had these misses, Danny, that would go off the reservation. Remember, we'd be like, oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm watching her play, and I'm realizing this ball is sliding off the face, and she's not quite hitting up on it enough because there's not enough loft on this driver. We added 1.5 degrees of loft, and she looked at me like, she gave me that look. And I'm like, I know. Never going to work, but let's just try it anyway. Here's how she started the first 3 holes on Norwood's West course from the blue tees. The blue tees is like a 345-yard hole. And she hit 312 right down the middle. We go to number 2 at Norwood, and she hit a driver and an 8-iron into that par 5, straight for the middle of the fairway. And number 3, the hardest fairway on the entire golf course to hit, she hit it right down the middle, 311 yards.
So she bought in.
But it's showing. I mean, her driver now it's so much easier for her to hit, and she's gotten longer. because the balls hit more solidly, guys. It's just trust me, just try it. Just try it, especially if you go to a sim league or something, just try it. If you don't like it, you can move the loft of your driver right back to what it was.
What do you think the loft is, generally speaking, for a senior?
Well, it's interesting because most people want to go with a 9-degree loft, and they could easily go with 10, 10.5, or 11. And by the way, folks, just so you know this, the effective loft on that big-headed driver is not always what that number says it is, okay? Because these things, it's such a huge head, and the way that the ball gets presented, the head gets presented to the ball is not always in that perfect mode where you're hitting slightly up on it, so you're using all of the loft that's on there. A lot of times we wind up hitting down on it, D, and it just screws the thing up.
What about the shafts for older players? What would you say about the length of the shaft? Or even how, are you using a stiff?
Yeah, right.
Stiff shaft or whatever.
More important than length. Now, if you can extend the length of your driver shaft maybe an inch or two and still be able to swing it, it takes a lot more coordination there. That's worthwhile to try to take a look at, Danny. But more importantly, get a shaft that's a little softer. And you're going to, they're saying, I've been a good player my whole life, man. I hit these extra stiff. I know those extra stiff perform extremely well when the speed is there. But as we get older, the speed goes down. So now what you're doing is you're gaining some extra flex in the shaft. And when you time that just right, you're going to pop it out there an extra 6 or 8 yards. That's just how it is. Now, all shafts are not one size fits all like anything else, so you got to go see your guy. But this is not expensive, and it's not a massive time commitment either, Danny.
So what about slowing down a backswing? Would you advise that for a senior player?
Just for that fix alone, no, because it's going to screw everything up with your own personal and individual rhythm. Every single player, Danny, has a rhythm, a built-in cadence. Look at John Rahm, how short and fast his is. Look at Tiger's, much longer, much slower, much silkier. Look at Larry Mize, if you know that swing. Larry pauses at the top of his swing, and you could go make a sandwich and come back because it's so syrupy like that. Payne Stewart used to have an unbelievably slow and rhythmic backswing where Tom Watson was more like boom, 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 like that. So that fix alone, theoretically, that works. That fix alone, I think that's not going to help anybody. If you could say, can I make maybe a little fuller turn? I'd say something like that. And when you do that typically slows you down a little bit.
What about the ball further up in the stance as you get older? Is that something you would advise at all?
No, I wouldn't.
You're trying to get me to play my ball back in the stance.
I know,
it drives me crazy.
You absolutely hate it. But there's a low point where the golf club in everyone's swing naturally occurs, and it's usually somewhere towards the middle of your stance. It varies with the length of the irons. When you get the shorter club in your hand, you got to move that ball back a little bit to try to catch it in. But you want to kind of keep it in the same spot, Danny, in relation to the bottom part of your swing, so that you can, get that similar feel. And as the shaft gets longer, it makes sense. The ball's got to go a little more forward in your stance.
All right. Using your wrist, can that generate power, that can maintain clubhead speed? Is that something you've ever heard?
No, I don't even want to talk to people about stuff like this because it'll get them sideways, Danny. Yeah. I'd say if you want to feel something in your hands, soft and light grip pressure. Just hold on to that club as lightly as you can, because what happens is once we get anxious, Danny, we get a little nervous, we start white knuckling that thing, and then the ball goes haywire. So basically the idea there is nice soft grip pressure, and that'll keep your wrist nice and flexible.
How about improving your posture? And I'm talking about spine straight, shoulders back, that kind of thing. I mean, you really have to, as a senior, you got to really pay attention to that.
Yeah, I would work more on your spine. I wouldn't worry about your shoulders. A lot of people talk about how guys that address their shoulders are rounded compared to more, back behind you. I wouldn't worry as much about that because as soon as you start pushing your chest out and your shoulders back, Danny, it has a tendency to make you squeeze the hell out of the golf club because it's just, most of us have lousy posture like I'm doing right now.
Both of us.
And so when you kind of stick your chest out, it has a tendency to make you want to grab that golf club with too much with too much grip pressure, like too tight, and then that screws the whole thing up.
I'll tell you what, one of the things I'm pulling away, and again, we're talking about tips for seniors, and what I'm pulling away from what you're talking about is the modern technology in the clubs. Yeah. They just keep improving. They keep getting better.
Really do.
And it's going to help you play the game of golf, isn't it?
It is. And if you have, I'm not trying to spend your money, but if you have not bought a set of clubs in the last 10 years, you've got to really, really think about it. And there are so many good. I mean, you go for our buddy Jeff Thornhill at TaylorMade. They've got great stuff. The new Titleist irons are absolutely beautiful. The T-Series is absolutely beautiful. Ping has been making great clubs forever. Mizuno, Srixon, your favorite, Danny. All those other...
Can't pronounce it.
All those other...
Srixon.
Yeah, there we go. All those other manufacturers really make great stuff now. If we were talking 30 years ago, I'd have said... you want to stick with the top manufacturers, but now they're all great. They are all great.
So those are the tips for seniors, and we do have a bunch of emails that came in, and they're wide-ranging, and this is from South City and Steve. It is freezing out, Jay. I am curious, though, the coldest weather you ever played in. And I know you and I have played, and I can give you a little insight. Jay tells me if it's under 50, ain't a chance we're going out and playing. It can be sunny, beautiful. It's springtime. Jay says no.
I can't.
Nope, not
as I've turned into a gigantic wussy as I've gotten older, and that's the way it is. I'd say now the thing almost needs to hit my age before I want to go out. We played, Danny, down in Greensboro, North Carolina. This was in the early 80s, and it snowed on us. It was snowing while and it was absolutely bitter cold.
Did the snow stick at all?
No.
Okay,
no,
so it was just snowing.
It snowed, and then they wound up pulling us off the golf course because there was all sorts of weird weather coming in. But typically, the worst weather I've played in is usually when it gets cold and rainy and it's somewhere out on the coast. Like I played in the U.S. Open in '92 with the 40-mile-an-hour winds. I got caught on that with 12 holes to go, and it absolutely tore me up. It wasn't cold per se, but when the wind's blowing 40, you want to just, you can't get low enough. You can't hit it low enough, and you're out at Pebble Beach where they got a little Pacific Ocean out there that has a tendency to get in the way of stuff, So I did play in a tournament, Jack Nicklaus's Memorial Tournament. I want to believe it was in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, and the wind was blowing about 25, and it was 40 degrees out. And I remember the first day I shot 72, and I was in the top 5 or 8 or so in the tournament.
With an 82.
No, 72.
72, excuse me.
But
I was going to say 82. Wow.
Mark Calcavecchia shot 88 that day.
Wow.
Ken Green shot 88. Those numbers don't pop up on the radar screen too often.
Makes me feel pretty good.
Right. It was brutal. It's a hard day to play.
And when it gets colder, obviously the ball's not traveling at all. So were you going from, let's say normally a 7-iron, you're going down to a 5, something like that?
Definitely. And then if you get into the wind, Danny, you throw your yardage book out the window because it might be helping you and the ball's going to go ridiculous amounts of yardages, or it might be in your face and the thing doesn't go anywhere. For example, I've hit, so the 7th hole at Pebble Beach Golf Links is 89 yards straight downhill. Little baby par 3. I've hit a 7-iron on that hole before.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So how much was the wind in your face? Do you remember?
Yeah, straight into our face. And so, my 7-iron back then probably went about 165 yards. So the wind was playing effectively, was playing somewhere in the 50-yard range.
So this is Mary from Manchester. She says she's headed to the Golf Expo in a couple of weeks. Anything specifically equipment-wise that I should look for? Is there anything? I'm not talking about Tin Cup here,
right,
where you're putting things on your head.
Yeah, and, I love that. Gosh, that's such a great visual.
You and I were there last year, and I saw you trying out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, there was these the swing hands, the things that kind of put. I'm just interested in the tech stuff, Danny. It's not my nature. I don't. when I would hit a bad shot, I would always blame me. I never blamed my equipment. We had a lot of friends that blamed their equipment or their caddy or things like that. I couldn't get there. But I guess it just depends on where you are in your tech journey, because if you've slept on tech for the last 5 years, go to this expo and look at the new stuff, and you're going to be like, well, wait a minute, why is this cool? Well, I mean, here's an example. Our buddies with the sunglasses, Poptical, Gary and Dana, the Popticals, they have all sorts of different lenses. They don't have polarization in them because it helps with your to deal with that distortion that the normal sunglasses give. And they're a local company here trying to make their way, and they've got some really cool ideas when it comes to sunglasses and eyewear.
So this is Sean, wants to know about, guys, heard you talking about the short game. Jay, you always talk about that being the most important aspect of the game of golf. With the cold weather that is here in St. Louis, indoors, what are the best tips for a short game and what you have to work on?
Just getting your, I love this question, just getting your hands on your wedges and hitting shots. I mean, think about what happens typically before we had all these. We have Family Golf and Learning Center, and Adam's got his sim leagues. We've got Elevate. They've got their sim leagues. They've got their memberships and things like that for folks. Before we had these indoor places, Pro-Am Golf, Danny, Tom DeGrant's got a couple sims over there too if you want to come get a lesson and have fun on the sims. But before that, there was nothing. So you had to go in your garage or in your basement and try to chip balls, even hitting little chips into those little nets, where I have these targets, and then there's circles on the targets. If you hit them in that circle, it's worth 20 points. Because pitching and chipping, pitching specifically, more so than chipping, is all about getting solid contact and landing the ball where you want to land it. That's the big thing. All
right, we get a lot of people asking, and we'll wrap it up with this, the Stiefel Charity Classic. Are you hearing anything about that? What's going on?
Oh, man.
There's a lot of movement, isn't there?
There is, Danny. This is super cool. We can't announce yet what some of the newer features are, but folks, trust me, they're going to be super cool. They're going to be way out of the box. Ron Kay and his team at Stiefel, man, hats off to them. They're going to be our next tip of the cap, because not only did they keep this tournament and this party going, but it's also going to raise significant money for our community, Danny, significant stuff for our charity. We're going to have a good time doing it, and we're also going to see great golf. Awesome. And I mean, that's a win all the way around. So once we get the okay that we can release some of this stuff, I can't wait to talk about it.
So you got Matt Mender tonight. You're on Facebook Live. What are you doing?
Wait a minute, I don't know.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I probably ought to wear a bag over my head.
No.
Some of the saints, the old ain'ts. Remember that with the grocery bag? No. Matt, we're going to get on Facebook Live, and we're going to talk about the release of the schedule. Is out already, but what he does is he releases opportunities to enter tournaments, and because, obviously, he's got over 6,000 members. You can't have 1,000 people playing it in one event. You don't have enough room on the golf course. So,
right.
The spaces are limited, and it's crazy to watch them fill up. It's really fun.
All right, great show. We had Matt Mender on from the Amateur Players Tour. Also, Kevin Kirk, again, a PGA Master Professional, outstanding. Jay, great tips for seniors, great tips overall. And how do we end the show?
Danny, and thank you for doing this, and great questions. Hit them straight, St. Louis.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing, brought to you by Car Shield and Doherty Business Solutions, every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. It features top guests, tips from a PGA Tour player, and the latest news and notes from around the world of golf. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Have the warranties on your car expired? If so, it's just a matter of time before that vehicle is in the shop costing you thousands of dollars. And did you know that auto repair costs are up 20% this year? That's 4 times the rate of inflation. If an unexpected breakdown happened today, would you be ready for that? Well, now you can be with a plan through CarShield. Even if your car is only 3 years old, it's still prone to these expensive costs. When you enroll in a car protection plan from CarShield, you can look forward to the following. The price will never go up no matter how many claims you file or no matter how high the mileage on your car increases. CarShield offers plans that start as low as $100. Their protection plans cover over 5,000 parts for your vehicle, and you also get 24/7 roadside vehicle assistance. To find out more, visit carshield.com.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
When you're in the market for a new car, there's only one place that I go, and that's Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. Please call Colin Byrne over there. He's fantastic. His number is 314-966-0303. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood will treat you like your family. Not sure you want to buy a car? The Dean Team Volkswagen has the area's largest selection of pre-owned vehicles for lease or purchase. Colin found my Yukon that I'm driving today, and I love it. It's the best vehicle I've ever driven. My daughter Jo is on her third Volkswagen. She just took her car to service to get an oil change, and she said to me, and I'm quoting, "Dad, these guys are so nice, and they took such great care of me. They made sure her car was in great shape to get her back to school." Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.